Introducing the all-new Corolla.
In what some might deem an affront to the Russian government, Chief District Court Judge Francis Tydinko Gatewood denied the release of accused Russian cyber hacker Roman Seleznev. The son of a Russian lawmaker, Seleznev will now have to face charges in Washington state, where he was originally indicted in 2011. Seleznev's defense counsel, attorney Pat Seville, reacts to the decision.
Well, of course it's disappointing, but she did preserve the issue for later if it turns out that Mr. Seleznev goes back to Washington.
Judge Gatewood noted in her decision that Seleznev will still have the opportunity to present the same arguments over the legality of his arrest in Washington state.
So I think it's an issue that will continue to come up in this case.
But given that the judge here in Guam denied that motion, do you think that that would set the precedent when he goes to Washington and argues the same?
Well, we hope that the judge in Washington will have a more complete evidentiary record than we were able to present here.
That was the focal point of Seleznev's argument. Not only does Seleznev contend that his capture goes against international law, a full report still has not been provided to the defense team.
There's a lot of evidence out there that we haven't seen yet.
Judge Gatewood mostly based her decision on other federal case laws in which courts have upheld the forcible abductions of alleged criminals on foreign soil. In fact, in those case laws, the circumstances of the abduction were much worse. Yet other federal courts ruled that they were not shocking and outrageous enough as to release them from U.S. custody. However, Seville argued otherwise. He pointed out that abduction does not need to involve torture for it to be deemed as shocking and outrageous. He went on to accuse the U.S. government of duplicity, deception, and corruption of another country's judicial process. That's what shocks the conscience, Your Honor, he said. It appeared the U.S. government initially went through the right process, seeking an arrest warrant from a judge in the Maldives. When the Maldivian judge denied that for lack of evidence, Seville says the U.S. government then struck a deal with cops in the Maldives and just grabbed him. The U.S. doesn't have the right to circumvent the Maldivian judicial system, Seville told Judge Gatewood. Seattle-based Assistant U.S. Attorney Michael Morgan countered that there is a logical disconnect in Seville's argument. Morgan pointed out that in other case laws, the U.S. literally kidnapped someone by force and by gunpoint, and still the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that was not outrageous conduct. Yet here, Seleznev is asking the court to rule his capture was more outrageous. That cannot be right, Morgan argued through teleconference. Seville then pressured Judge Gatewood to consider the global climate and current world affairs between the U.S. and Russia. We are on the brink of some very serious matters, Seville told Judge Gatewood, referring to U.S. sanctions against Russia over the controversial attack on Malaysia Flight 17. We're saying, Russia, you have to obey the rule of law, he noted. Yet in this small corner of the world, the U.S. is not abiding by the very laws it preaches to be sacred. He also argued that the charges against his client don't involve terrorism, violence, or murder. It's a mundane sort of case, he pointed out, which makes the U.S. government's behavior in abducting Seleznev all the more egregious.